All right, what's good, y'all? I know it's been a couple days, but we're gonna get straight back into it. Um, right here, I want to get back to doing a specific focus. What do I mean by that? So I feel like from what we've been working on so far has been a lot of okay, let's just put these together. Oh, how do I do the boilerplate code for HTML? Okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I don't think it's an issue, but I want to try for this week, maybe next week as well, to just focus on what this week's specific focus is and just take it one step from there instead of me trying to do everything at once because I feel like I'm trying to do everything at once, doing it the way I have been doing it the past videos. So week one, I should have just focused on HTML basics and problem breakdown with my 10 projects. And that's the other thing too. I don't even know if I'll get through the 10 projects, but that is my goal. That is my ceiling that I want to achieve. But this week, we're just going to focus on box model, typography, colors, and positioning in CSS instead of trying to focus on responsive web design, all that other good mess. That'll be next week. This week, we just want to focus and hone in on these learning tools and applying them. So, for my goal, let me put this to the side. For my goal, I want to show y'all. I want to learn one small thing and apply it to the project. Just apply it directly to the project. Simple. It's pretty straightforward. That is the goal for this week. Next week, we'll see what we need to change and how we should adapt. But until then, today's focus will be box model, typography, colors, and positioning. So, a better way to go through it other than going through our learning terminal, or I might just refer to this as the textbook, the Code Academy textbook. These are things that I've already worked on, as you guys have seen, but I've really been treating it like a notebook, not a notebook, but a textbook rather. So we're just gonna take it one step at a time, go through this, make sure, okay, have I applied this? Why haven't I applied this? And just really take our time. So I will fire up 25 minutes. Even though this is learning, but we're just gonna go through it. So this is the box model. Browsers load HTML elements with default position values. This often leads to an unexpected and unwanted user experience while limiting the views you can create. In this lesson, you will learn about the box model, an important concept to understand how elements are positioned and displayed on a website. So, in this lesson, you'll learn about the following aspects: the dimensions, borders, paddings, margins. Paddings definitely. Okay, yeah. So another cool thing is if you inspect this, hopefully I'm not showing too much, but you can see these things in this little layout. Padding, border, margin, which is pretty cool. So yes, the box model comprises the set of properties that define parts of an element that takes up space on a web page. The model includes the content's area size, within height, and the element's padding, border, and margin. So within height, padding, border, margin. Okay, so how can we apply this? Height and width. Okay, they're using pixels. We're going to continue to use EM for our responsive web design. We're not going to go any farther than that. We just know that using EM is, that's the point we're at right now. So height and width. An element's content has two dimensions, height and width. By default, the dimensions of an HTML box are set to hold the raw contents of the box. The CSS height and width properties can be used to modify these default dimensions. So in this example, the height and width of paragraph elements are set to 80 pixels. So how's it applied on here? 700 pixels to banner. Okay, height and width. So the banner class has an H1 element, and height and width is set to, one has 100%, the other has 700 pixels. So if we were to reduce this to maybe 4, or not 4500, it's 4. Okay, it changes our banner. Well, what did the banner say? Yeah, conservation efforts at Lake Tahoe. Yeah. No. Okay, it's this one. Okay, of course it's not gonna save it. So we're gonna leave it at 700. That was not the right thing. Okay, I think that was, what? It was for, this is the banner. I am messing this up, golly. 700. Okay. And it's not just, ooh, okay. Maybe I need to, see, this is what I'm talking about, like these little things. So maybe I need to, so that's a banner. How can I apply it to this? This is our hero. In this case, it's a banner. Maybe I might start using that term, our banner page. So our height is 25 rem. We don't have a width on here. So let's actually add that width. 20. Very interesting. So 25. I want the words to go across rather. 60, yeah, 60. Okay. So height and width, pretty straightforward, but I didn't have a width on there, which is pretty interesting. So that is focused on our hero page, High Renaissance, and it has our image. But it's interesting because the image didn't move at all, but on here it did. So like, once again, if I change this to 300, the image moves as well. So right now I'm wondering why that is. What makes that so special? Yeah, the whole image, the height of it, definitely. So maybe if I, let's try that. If I 25 REM, let's do 45. 45. It doesn't necessarily. Let me add some or reduce. Oh no, okay. That's still kind of a lot though. Okay, I gotta leave that alone. I want this to be moved up, but I'm just not gonna mess with that. I think that'll be later on in the box model. So this doesn't really. Okay, so if I just want to expand the image, like I have my own image one. Height 50 EM. Once again, I don't have a width. don't want it to be super stretched out like that either. Crazy. Okay. Let's try 80. 80 don't look bad. 70, of course. So 80 fills it up a little bit more. So hold on, if I do 50-50, I think, yeah. So if I do 100, oh shit, 100 is just super big. So I know there's a way to like make it fill the screen, not just you manually moving it around. So I guess we'll figure that out later. But position relative, I think we have that with the image. Position absolute. Okay. Background size cover. Background position bottom center. But you see how it expands like that to fill the screen? So is that background size cover? I have that on this. And I have that on this. So are they canceling each other out? Why is that not moving? Or is it? Let me see. Let me see something. Copy relative path, I think. I don't think this is it actually. No. Copy path. Oh. Yeah, like it doesn't even. Like it's still stuck right here. Oof, we're gonna figure it out. So let me keep looking. So they have the background. First of all, the background image is in CSS, but I don't think that matters to its actual movement. Background size cover, yes. Background position, bottom center. Width. The width is 100%. Let me see something. The width 100% line sets the banner section stretch across the entire width of the page, making your banner image span from left edge to the right edge of the browser window. Okay, so let's see. Width. Wait, was it doing it? Wait, was it doing it just there? Let me, okay, let's copy path. No, it's not that one. So let's go back to CSS. We have our image with 100%. Still not that. Oh no, it's stretching on here. So what the flip? Oh, I haven't saved it. Duh. Yep, it's fixed. Oh, yes. Yes. This is what we want. You see why we're taking these small steps? You see why we taking these small steps? Yes, sir. I like this. Okay, so I just figured that out. You need to use width 100% for it to stretch across the screen, the screen to stretch across the screen and do what it do. I like that. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. I like that. So let's continue to, so with 100%, I would have never known. So can I take out, still need background size cover, I think. Let me see. Explain this. Please. Property makes the background image and the banner fill the entire area, scaling it so there are no empty spaces. This helps your banner image always cover the whole section, no matter its size. Okay, so background size cover means no empty spaces. It'll always cover the whole section of its box. Okay, background position, bottom center. Background position, bottom center line sets the background image of the banner to be aligned at the bottom and centered horizontally, making sure the main part of the image stays visible at the bottom center of the banner. To be aligned at the bottom and centered horizontally. Let's try to implement that. So let's keep background size cover. Let's keep the filter because that's what I want. Position. If I take this out, yeah, it just, well, hold on. Yes, it removes that. So what is that, my nav? Position relative, okay, you're relative to the parent. Oh, well, first of all, I didn't have that. You're relative to the parent element, which is, in the nav's case, the hero page. Okay, so what if I took this out? Oh, I should have deleted that. Still relative. Okay, so this is positioning, which will be later on. I'm gonna leave it the way it is, and then wait, what the heck? Oh, you know what? Moving in out. Okay, something is going on with this. So they want this to stay relative. Very interesting. All right. Just gonna keep that there. Do we even need this? No. Absolutely out. Position absolutely out. That's our little motto. So once we get to that, we'll see if we can fix this. Try to move that up, put it in a better position. But right now, what were we looking at? Banner, background position, bottom center. Background size. So this is the image. I don't think this is doing anything though. That's my thing. To be aligned at the bottom and centered horizontally. Okay, horizontally. Stays visible at the bottom center of the banner. Okay. I don't think I need that. Didn't really look like it had a significant change. So, okay. We learned something with height and width. Let's keep it moving. Borders. A border. Did this have a border on the last one? No, it didn't. Okay, a border is a line that surrounds an element like a frame around a painting. Borders can be set with a specific width, style, and color. The thickness of the border or border's thickness can be set in pixels or with one of the following keywords: thin, medium, or thick. Why not? Border 3 pixels, solid, coral. So, see, we have this in the way. Border is pretty straightforward, I feel like. Border radius, you could like change that. Let's implement it. So it's really just where would we implement that? I think right here. Border. Solid. Oh, hold on. Okay, how do I make it bigger? And a dotted red border with 1 pixel thickness. We did not do that. It's all H2 settings. 1 pixel dotted red. Oh, this did not go through. Oh, okay, down. All H2s. I'm tripping. It's all H2s. Okay, we could do something with that, with our about page. Instead of doing it up here. Let's see. About us. Menu H3. Oh, this is covering our menu. Oh gosh. Change the height to, let's do 60. Okay, there you go. Okay, and menu H3, border, how they do it, 1 pixel. Oh no. Well, this would be all the elements, wouldn't it? Doesn't do a goddamn thing. So let's do menu dot menu. I think this is an H2 element. Okay, so that's, I don't want it to be across the entire screen. Oop. Can't move my mouse. Okay, there you go. That is our time. I'm gonna take a little break. Alrighty, we're back. Let's reset this timer. Keep pushing forward on this. So borders. So now since I've added this little red dot border and specified it to H2, it's no longer center aligned. Like the text aligned center isn't in the center. So anyway, maybe that might be something, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe once we figure out how to do it correctly, we'll have like the menu, about us, and the contact information, or yeah, maybe the menu in the middle. No, keep the menu like this. Maybe about us, contact, socials is like a 3-pronged thing instead of you continuously scrolling down. So yeah, that might be the idea for that. So we went through border. Let's see what else. Border radius. You could change the radius of it, make it look cool. Padding. So we have done a little bit of padding. Pretty straightforward. Padding top, left, bottom, right, or bottom, left, right. Padding shorthand. So okay, top, right, bottom, left. So that's one thing I can doctor up, whatever we have padding on, padding bottom, top, right. So let's just turn this into one shorthand line. So padding, so the top is 2.4 EM. And then how's this being done? Okay, no commas, just top, right, bottom, left, almost like a compass. So let's do this, 2.4 EM, right, 7 EM, bottom, 1.5 EM, and then left. We don't have a left, so we're just gonna do 0 EM. Go ahead and delete these, and now we have our shorthand. Okay, so now any other padding? Yeah, padding left. Won't trip off that. Padding top, bottom. We could turn this into a shorthand. Padding 5 EM. This is our menu. Right, 0 EM, bottom, 30 EM, left, 0 EM. Let's get that locked in. Delete these two. Save it. Display padding top, bottom, same thing with this. Top 10 EM, right 0 EM, bottom 14 EM, left 0 EM. Okay, padding top, padding bottom, okay. I think that's all that we have, which is nice. So that's padding shorthand. Margin. Okay, so far you've learned about the following components of the box model: content, borders, and padding. The fourth and final component of the box model is margin. Margin refers to the space directly outside of the box. The margin property is used to specify the size of this space. So, styling properties. Each property affects the margin on only one side of the box, providing more flexibility. Yep. Select the top margin of P elements to 60 pixels. So let's find P elements, margin top 60 pixels. So now my first question is, what's the difference between padding and margin? So if this was changed to 20 instead of 60, it leaves more space. The margin property is used to specify the size of this space. So once again, if we go back to 60, this should shorten up. It does. Okay, is that maybe what I need for my menu? Text aligned, this doesn't even do anything. Oh, so it does, but it doesn't, okay. So let's do menu, let's just do H2. Margin, left, 40, 4, 10, 20. See, like, this should already be centered, not be like if I tried text align center, it doesn't do that, and I'm not sure why it doesn't do that. but it does move when you change that margin. Margin left, what we say, 25, 23, 24. Let's leave it there. But yeah, everything else moved to the middle, which is cool. But if it were time to move this around, it doesn't stay. So what is that really helping? Same thing with probably this as well. Like, there's a reason why this is stuck on the left side of the screen, probably because of the margin. Margin shorthand, same way as the, well, let me double check. Yeah, top right. Excuse me. Top right, bottom left. Okay, auto. The margin property also lets you center content. Oh, syntax requirements. Take a look at the following example. Width 400 pixels, margin 0 auto. In the example above, margin 0 auto will center the divs in their containing elements. The 0 sets the top and bottom margins to 0 pixels. The auto value instructs the browser to adjust the left and right margins until the element is centered within it. Okay. So 0 auto. Let's try that. Margin. I think that did it. Yep. That answered my question quickly. Instead of us doing a whole bunch of research, that answered my question. Just like that. Okay, margin 0 auto censors the divs in their containing elements. Okay. Because you can't do no padding 0 auto. So margin. I got you. Margin. Okay, margin collapse. As you have seen, padding is space added inside an element's border, while margin is space added outside an element's border. Okay, so padding is space within the border, margin is space outside and added. So I guess I could think of it as like padding is Play-Doh. Space added inside an element's border, the border of the Play-Doh, while margin is space added outside. So you could move that Play-Doh from a small desk to a larger table, like a dinner table. Okay. Padding is Play-Doh. You're moving the space inside. Margin is moving to a bigger outside space. All right. Horizontal margins left and right, like padding, are always displayed and added together. Elements A and C have 30 pixels. Top and bottom margins collapse, otherwise known as vertical margins collapse, while top and bottom padding does not. Two divs with IDs, div 1 and div 2, are next to each other. They will be as far apart as the sum of their adjacent margins. Okay, so like padding, they're displayed and added together. So the space between image 1 and image 2 is 40 pixels. One is 20, 20 plus 20 is 40. Unlike horizontal margins, vertical margins do not add. Instead, the larger of the two vertical margins sets the distance between adjacent elements. Okay, so vertical, top and bottom, they don't add together. They only take the larger of the two. Short person trying to push a taller person. The tall person has longer arms and can easily push. I like that analogy. I like that. I like that. I like that. Margin collapse. Okay, it's only for vertical margins. It's like a short person trying to push a tall person, but the tall person, you know, can easily push the short person. Got it. So yeah, if this is 30, the distance is 30. Gotcha. Okay. Minimum and maximum height and width. Okay, because a web page can be viewed through displays of differing screen size, the content on a web page can suffer with the yes, I am currently having this issue. To avoid this problem, CSS offers two properties that can limit how narrow or how wide an element's box can be sized to. Min width. This property ensures a minimum width of an element's box. Okay, max width. In the example above, it won't shrink. The width of all paragraphs will not shrink below 300 pixels, nor will the width exceed 600 pixels. Browser windows narrowed or expanded the two properties to ensure that content is legible by limiting the minimum and maximum. In the example above, the height of all paragraphs will not shrink below 150. Okay, so if we have spillage, we'll learn about that in the next exercise. So minimum and maximum height and width. Where is that? Apply the P element. Okay, what the flip? 2823. So the minimum height to 200. Set the minimum width of the P element to 200 pixels. So min width and max width basically is if it hits, it won't shrink below 300 pixels, nor will the width exceed. So you're setting like, okay, even if it's expanded this wide, it's not going to change. Okay, so let's apply that. Definitely need to apply it to this image. So min width. Let's do 200. Max width 800. Or let's do EM. That might be way too big, by the way. So let's save, come here, copy path, come here, place them on there. Yeah, this thing is buku huge, just buku huge. Okay, so let's reduce. Go back to style. So maybe this needs to be like 20 EM, and then this needs to be like 80. Okay, a lot better. So if I expand, see this, I wanted to cover, oh, the max width. So if I take this up, save, refresh the page. If I take out the max width, it's no longer 100%. So instead of 80, but I also don't want it to be super stretched out like this either when it's at this level. So let me max width instead of 80, because 80 isn't enough. Let's do 150. See how far that gets us. 150 still kind of has that stretch to it. Let's try 110. Still has that stretch to it. 90. Wait, you know what? I probably wasn't. Let's try 120. Save, refresh the page. Still has that stretch. Let's do 100. Save. Okay, 100. Okay, let's do this. We know it exists, and they were talking about something in the next overflow. Okay, that's the second part I definitely need, I think. So, okay, all of the components of the box model comprise an element size. For example, an image that has the following dimensions is 364, 244 tall. Okay, the overflow property controls what happens to content that spills or overflows outside this box. Most commonly used are hidden for views, visible when set to this value. The overflow content will be displayed outside. Okay. A scroll bar. Nah, I don't want a scroll bar. For more in-depth look at overflow, including additional properties like overflow X. Okay. Man. I feel like this ain't resetting defaults, visibility. Ah, shit. There we go. Like I want it to shrink and expand when you expand. Still fit the screen, but expand when you expand. That's what I want. Maybe I have to, do Do I really have to change the height just to make the pizza image not look crazy? Let's focus on this. Focus on one thing and apply it. Focus on one thing and apply it. Okay. I mean, that's cool, but that's not really what I need. Then with this, an example above, the height of all paragraphs would not shrink below 150 and the height would not exceed 300. I don't know, maybe I don't need this right now. Such a weird concept. Plus, it's not giving me the value I'm looking for. Like, I just don't. I'd rather it zoom in, not stretch out. And I'm not seeing that from this banner image. Background size cover, the height 700 pixels, width 100%. Delete this. Let's do, actually, margin bottom. Let's do 3 EM. And then let's change the height to 100. That might be it. So I still have, where's my menu? Where's my menu? Okay, margin bottom, let's do 30. There you go. Does it really need to be this extreme? Yes, it does. Holy cow. Holy cow. I'm not gonna lie, I thought like adding 3 EM would, you know what? Margin vertical collapse. Top and bottom. So 30 is the base. Look at that. Already applying our learning. All right, that is the time. I'm gonna take a short break. Alrighty, we're back. Seems like the only thing that, well, not seems like, but the only major change that I did was I added box sizing border box. Basically, it is the same thing as margin and padding under this star label. Basically, it changes, from what I understand, it changes or whatever the default CSS style sheet is for certain browsers, or for any browser of that matter. This will change it to a default slate so that it doesn't interfere with other things, if that makes sense. I'm still trying to make sense of it, but this seems to be integral to maintaining shapes and not having anything be wonky, or most importantly, be inconsistent across other browsers. So right now, we're still working through the box model, but we worked a little bit ahead and I found this project under the box model section, and I was looking at the code and I'm like, okay, maybe I can implement some of these styles into mine because this looks like something that I would like to have. Maybe not vertical in terms of menu nutrition order. I would like this to be horizontal, but to have this stick up top, to have a hero page or a banner look somewhat like this, this seems like what we are trying to achieve with High Renaissance. So yeah, I want to implement some of these styles into the site. Let's start at the nav. So first thing, their nav bar is right underneath, right after the initial body tag, and it's outside of any other divs. The nav is just its own section. I didn't have that when I first started. I did switch that up recently, as you can see on this green line, let you know what my recent changes are. And yeah, so me doing that put it behind this image. So of course that's not what I want, but there's something going on with not the box model, but I think the positioning. So I think that'll come up in display. So part of me wants to just keep going and keep this in mind to come back to when I get more knowledge on like display block, for example. So I think that's like, now I'm curious, I'm just curious. The display block style makes the image inside nav act as a block element, so it starts on a new line and can be centered with margin 0 auto. Yep. This helps your navigation logo appear centered on the page. Oh, this is, okay, that's for this up here. So what about this image, the burger image? Oh, let me set my timer. Okay. So this burger image is not in the nav. This is part of the nav. See, I be bouncing around too much too. Like, okay, let's focus on the nav bar. What makes the nav bar stationary like this? It's on some kind of fixed. I think it's some display, not display fixed. Nav, text align center. Nav span, display block. And then that's the other thing too, like, oh, you know what? The content might be on overflow scroll. And that's probably why this is stationary like this. But to finish that thought, some of these things, there's other code that I'm somewhat aware of that I know should be used, but it's not being used. And they're using like very beginner tactics to build this site. So that's not really a slight at all, but it's something I noticed. Like, all of this is inside of a overflow context rather than this being fixed and you just being able to scroll through the site. So like, I think it's positioning fixed to have this nav bar like this. So you know what? With that in mind, like, I don't want to have to go back and delete shit, but it is interesting. I did find this interesting, but I think we're just gonna keep pushing forward with this. Let me get to the next section. So it's box model. Gonna go to, is this right after box model, display, and positioning? Let's go straight into that lesson. Okay, so float, inline, block. Yeah, position fixed. That's what it should be. And that's what we're gonna stick with, really. Oh shit. Okay, go back. Skip code review. Um, they hate to see me win. Come on, there we go. Okay, flow of HTML. So a browser will render the elements of an HTML document that has no CSS from left to right, top to bottom, in the same order as they exist in the document. This is called the flow of elements in HTML. In addition to the properties that it provides to style HTML elements, CSS includes properties that change how a browser positions elements. These properties specify where an element is located on the page, if the element can share lines with other elements and other related attributes. This lets you learn 5 properties. Position, display, z-index, float, and clear. Okay. So basically, CSS will flow in the same order they exist, unless you specify it with certain properties for adjusting the position of HTML elements. So let's start with position. Okay, notice the block level elements in the image above take up their own line of space and therefore don't overlap each other. In the browsers to the right, you can see block level elements also consistently appear on the left side of the browser. This is the default position for block level elements. Okay. In the next few exercises, you'll learn about the values in the list above. For now, it's important to understand that if you favor the default position of an HTML element, you don't need to set its position property. Okay, and style CSS. Oh, so let me look at the learning plan real quick. So that's phase 2. This is week 2, box model, typography, colors, positioning. So display and positioning will be the last thing that we do. We're not deploying improved styles, colors and typography. Oh, I lost my thing. There you go. Okay, we can move on to typography. That's like font, what the font looks like and shit. My biggest issues are positioning and box model. Box model, I feel like I have that down pretty well. Just need to display that across my other projects. But positioning, let's keep pushing on that. So static default value. So statically, its default position is leftmost. Consistently appear on the left side of the browser. This is the default position for block level elements. So got it. Position relative. One way to modify the default position of an element is by setting its position property relative. I know we went over this, but we're just going to go over it again. Relative is relative to the parent element, from what my understanding is. Absolute is the child of the parent that moves in front of, that removes itself out of the document flow. Remember, absolute out. And since it's removed from the document flow, it sits on top of the relative positioned element that is the parent element. That was a mouthful. But anyway, one way to modify the default position of an element is by setting its position property to relative. Okay, to its default static position on the web page. Allows you to position an element relative to its default static position. Relative to its default static position. Okay, although the code in the example above does not specify where the green box should be positioned on the page, this is done by accompanying position declaration with modifying offset properties. Top, bottom, moves the element up from the bottom, moves the element away from the left side. So position relative, top left. Example above, the element of green box class, we move down 50 pixels and to the right 120 pixels. So if you do top, it's going to move it down. It's kind of like gravity. If you do top, it's pushing it down. If you do left is pushing it to the right. So think of it like that's the amount of gravity that you're placing on it, and the positioning, the directional positioning is the amount of gravity that it pushes the object towards, away from, puts the amount of weight on. So you, how did they say it? You complement position relative with where you want it to be on the screen with certain elements. So in this example, inside the question rules set, change the position property to relative. We did that. Offset question 40 pixels from the top. So that's moving it down. So that's 40. Let's say we do 80. Oh, so it's moving all of these. Let's do 120. Oh, not 1200. So it just keeps it moving down. And move it back up. So, okay. Question, text align, center. So it's centered. Is that what I had on here? Yeah, text align center. Okay, these are still centered too. That's good. So we have something similar to that. Position relative. So I got to think of default static position. So wherever its default static position is, it will move it. You complement it with its movement, gravity. I didn't really do that. I think I did more padding. So if we go to the about us, about image, yeah, I just did padding. So what if we played with this? Let's say I want to keep the height. This is position relative. Instead of padding, let's do position. Well, you know what? We still would want the padding just to keep it separate from, you know what? It probably wouldn't be padding. It would be margin, wouldn't it? Margin opens up the space, padding stretches the box. Margin is the space for the box. Display. Let's change this to position relative. Relative to its default position, text align is centered, so it will be centered. If we take this out, let's just say we take this out, it'll be leftmost, yep. So from here, if the position is relative, we will use left, let's say
13 EM. Oh, it moves the whole thing. It makes sense. So then what let me see what this is. Okay, cool. Let's come here. Wait, no, I want that dotted line actually. Margin 0 auto. Centers it. That's what the margin 0 auto does, it centers it. That's why I did that, because it's doing goofy things like that. So let me change the width. Damn. So what's the point of the margin? It centers it, so. I'm still gonna put this in, I think it's inline block. I think that's what you have to use to get that level of state. See if I can get my computer charger. Where's the hole? Where's the hole? Where's the hole? Trying to get my computer charger in the charging. Here it is. Okay, cool. So, excuse my laptop fan. That's going to be blowing in a minute. If we, okay. It's position relative. Let's do left. Once again, 13 EM. It moves it. Let's do 20. It moves it. The margin is what's. So we're not, let's do margin 0 auto. It centers that automatically. Let's take out the left. Oh. Well, hold on. So the margin 0 auto doesn't even center the entire about. Interesting. Just take that out. I thought it would at least center it, and then we use the padding to separate, to stretch the actual box to move the contact out the way. Or we would add margin to the content or contact and have it do it that way. Alright, I just wanted to mess with that. Just keep everything centered for now. That's weird, the width. If I add more to this, it's just gonna go further to the right. or the box. Oh, hold on, the H2 box. That's not what I want either. I don't even know if display block is doing anything. Okay. Am I accessing these elements right? That's the other question. Like, is it okay to have all of this in one thing? Div class about. So let's look at the code. Let's look at the code. There's no image on here. They have div class question. Oh, not that. They have div class question. And then, oh, that's what I wanted to do. I'm tripping. Then this question, they position it relative. Yeah, the top is 40 pixels. It's centered. It's relative. Is that what I have to do maybe? Text align center? But it's just the question. The question has an H4 and an H2. So technically everything within this div, where's the end of this div? Wait. Wait, does this sound right? So what is this div connected to? What? So div class question. Okay, and these are our answers within question 1. But they're in their own div class. Oh. So we have div class about. Right? Div class question, div class about. We have our H2. Like they have their H4 and their H2. And they go to a different div, but it's in the same div class. So with this, I shouldn't have did that. So with this div, this should be a different div. So this will be div. I'll include this with it. Div. So we have our H2. This will be class We'll just name it Leo. Take this out. Div class Leo. We have our image. We have a paragraph. We have the end div. That's all in our about section. Okay. So very similar to how this is. We have our image and we have our text. So with this, if this was div class question, you're text aligning the center. Another thing too, they are not like H2 is separate, H1 is separate, just its own thing. It's not like dot question like I have it in my CSS. In my CSS, I have like menu H3. I'm thinking it specifies the H3 of only menu. Once again, this is why it's super important. It was super important to just focus on HTML. But okay, well, that was our time, so I'm gonna take a little break.